Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications on future uploads. Hello everyone, Someone Bard here, or you can call me Sully. With the recent passing of Pete Kozachik, who served as the director of photography for directors Henry Selick and Tim Burton on films like Coraline, Corpse Bride, and The Nightmare Before Christmas, I'm taking a look over the film where he's not only the stop-motion cinematographer, but also the visual effects supervisor for a film produced by Burton and Denise Denovi and directed by Selick, which is based on a book that I do own, but haven't read. And for me, the result of it is alright, but not a whole lot. Released on April 12, 1996, is James and the Giant Peach. Director Henry Selick had made an alright live-action animated fantasy that's based on the book by Roald Dahl, with fine characters, a fine story, fine effects in stop motion, and okay songs. A boy named James Henry Trotter was living a happy life with his mother and father as they planned to move to New York City together to live in the Empire State Building. But a rhino has gobbled up his parents, and James lives with his Aunt Spiker and Aunt Sponge, as they have him do chores and work and only give him scraps. But James saves a spider one day and is soon visited by the old man, who gives James a bag, which James made as a floating lantern the night before, which is full of green and glowing crocodile tons that will make marvelous things happen when taken. Yet James trips and drops the bag, allowing the tons to scatter, and have a peach growing giant on a tree. But the aunts make a profit out of it until James eats a piece of the peach, and a crocodile ton with it. James then enters the peach where he meets Big Bugs, who supposedly had those tons, and they became friends. Mr. Grasshopper, Centipede, Miss Spider, Mrs. Ladybug, Earthworm, and Glowworm. They soon escape from James's aunts with Centipede cutting the peach from the tree, and they travel to New York City by tying 100 sequels to the peach while avoiding a few dangers and having a few troubling moments. I grew up watching this film like many times on VHS, and yet I do like it for its animation, effects, music, and production design, although I didn't resonate with it as much as I did with The Nightmare Before Christmas, and the same can be said with me as an adult. Where Nightmare has great songs, wondrous animation, fun characters, and lovely imagination, this one sort of felt less to me, and the issues I have with it are a bit much. The songs are okay, but they come off as kind of forgettable to me, despite that they're written by Randy Newman, who also wrote the score, and who previously did Toy Story. Except the Eating the Peach song, which I believe is from the book, as it is written by Roald Dahl. Although songs like Family and Good News were somewhat decent, though a bit forgettable. But the first song, entitled My Name is James, is somewhat annoying, especially when James repeats his name a few times. And I often thought if this song was included in Disney's sing-along songs, I'd like to imagine Jiminy Cricket covering his ears because of how annoying it was to me. And speaking of which, James I felt was kind of annoying given his voice that sounds a little thick with his accent. James's cutout dream is kind of weird to me now than then, as I once was a little scared of it. The dialogue is kind of rushed within a few places, a few moments that are so odd that they're confusing. Yet the rhino is one of the more questionable parts of the film. I suppose it's a metaphor for the aunt's punishment to James, but it's also confusing that the rhino took James's parents by eating them. Yet the rhino is a giant storm cloud, symbolically maybe of James's fear of what it did to his parents. Yet I'm led to think that James's aunts were involved in the rhino's appearance in some way, as there's no explanation to where the rhino came from. So what exactly is the rhino supposed to be in this film alone, as it's so vague in its origin that there's too many implications going on? However, despite all that, there are stuff I do like in this. The stop-motion animation is all fine and well. The visual effects, especially in combining stop-motion and CGI and later live action, is pretty neat. The clouds looking like teapots are nice. The scene involving a giant mechanical shark and its demise is cool. Not to mention it producing the fish heads that James was given to by his aunts earlier. The underwater scene with the skeleton pirates is nice, and I like to believe that Jack Skellington is the captain, given it's the same puppet, probably, with pirate garb, and Centipede called him Skellington. The characters are fine, though I'm more on the bug characters than James or his aunts, because they have interesting designs, personalities, and relationships, with Mr. Grasshopper and Centipede often arguing, or Centipede having a love for Miss Spider, or Miss Spider being the first friend of James and acting like his surrogate mother. The production design is rather well, and the way New York City is presented is alright, given the film took place in the 1920s or 30s. Some of the humor is alright, and I did chuckle or laugh when a rooster mistakes the rolling peach for a rising sun. And Randy Newman's music is quite decent, though it sounds like he's trying to be Danny Elfman-esque in certain moments, but also have his own style in other places. And that's generally my overall thoughts on the film. It has alright moments for sure, and I still like them, but the problems I have with it tend to muddle my enjoyment a little. It isn't one I love or hate, as it has interesting things going on, and I followed everything fine, but for a film from Selick, Burton, Newman, Denovi, and every cast and crew of it didn't quite do much for me, but just enough. 2.5 plus Mickeys. And that is it. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow on Facebook or X, support me on Patreon, and until next time. Tune in next time for Sulli-Ween!